All right. Welcome online to our Facilitating Change course, lecture number 4. I'm Jari, so I'm this time in charge of this lecturing session, facilitating the session. And today we will dig maybe a bit deeper into facilitation and take maybe more this kind of processual view. So just for those who didn't attend the opening lecture where I introduced myself, I want to show this introduction slide because today I will draw quite a lot from my pretty long experience in different kind of facilitation roles and contexts and experiences. And so I could say that I'm more representing the process side of the facilitation. I'm not so strongly kind of tool person. And maybe Risto is representing on this course more about this toolbox or a method perspective, which is equally important. But today we will focus more on processual, interactive, conversational side of facilitation. Okay, but before going closer to that, what we're gonna do today, we wanna highlight, take a look of our course. So actually it's very nicely midway. So we're in the midway pole at the moment. Ooh. Yeah, that's great. And but before going further, Risto, could you say something about exercise?
Where am I? I'm there. Hey, yes, last week, for those of you who are not so Aalto University focused or live in a different planet, so it was 1st of May here, which is a hugely big thing. And we kind of forgot to mention that pretty much it is compulsory to shut down all activities from 30th of April all the way until this Monday. So yes, our apologies for not really communicating that, especially for the exercises. But nevertheless, it's all solved. Oona has done her work again. And for those who are doing the exercises, the deadline is extended by 1 week. So that's it.
All right, thank you.
Let's get moving. Continue.
Yes, all right. So what will be the contents today? So I will open up a bit first what we talk about when we talk about facilitation. And then we will have a little dive to your experiences. So opening up the breakout rooms for you to sharing how you are, what kind of experience you are having so far. And after that, I'm going to open up a bit facilitation process, what are the elements of it. And then we will discuss about draw from last week's lecture where Risto talk about this reification and participation dualism of facilitation. And we will talk about outcome versus experiences. And then somewhere there, we will have our 5-minute break. And then after that, go deeper to how we can add probability for success of our facilitation. And after that, you have another opportunity to share your insights with other fellow participants. And we will close to giving you the next assignment. So that's basically our wrap today. But let's start with this. So the course name is Facilitating Change, but what do we mean by facilitation? So the word has its origin in Latin, facilis, easy. So it's something like to enable, the act of making something easier. So it has multiple meanings in various contexts. But when we talk about organizational context, the facilitation is connected to collective meaning making, decision making, problem solving, conflict resolution, learning, experimentation, ideation, development, change, transformation, reflection. Quite a bit different interactional or conversational processes where we want to change, improve, understand better, generate new knowledge and such. So it's something that makes the conversational, collective conversation smoother, or collaborative efforts. Wide variety of situations and settings. So facilitation is a very broad concept. Of course, there are professional practices that somehow defines it maybe more narrowly, but I'm seeing it as a quite wide kind of assortment of different ways of working. And of course, the context, we can have very enthusiastic and highly positive innovation workshops. And in this kind of context, it's maybe pretty rewarding or nice to be a facilitator when people are in a good mood and positive and producing well and so on. But on the other side, when we talk about organizational change, then we can end up being a situation which are pretty challenging for the facilitators and to facilitate, where strong, maybe difficult emotions can be involved. And in change, organizational change and renewal, quite often there are this kind of emotions involved. And of course, then it can involve just few people, little team, and we can help the team to work better, communicate differently, and help them to construct new ideas. Or it can even involve very large number of people. So the lower picture here is actually of a real situation where I was lucky to be involved. It was one organization which wanted to have all its managers at the same time talking about leadership, and we generated 800-person dialogue, and it was a very interesting challenge to how we can create and facilitate a event where people feel really that I'm contributing, I'm involved, and I'm really not just a bystander here, but I'm really contributing to collective meaning making. And actually, it was just so successful that afterwards the organization has established this kind of forum every year. So and it was very interesting to learn how to do that. And of course, we can take facilitation as a professional practice, as I guess there are online persons who are working as facilitators on full-time basis, and they are deep in this kind of planning and facilitating things. But it can also include everyday conversations. I guess many of us have some peers, colleagues, friends who are pretty good in listening or pretty good in asking good questions, and somehow natural in creating a nice atmosphere. And so that's, from my perspective, a very core thing in facilitation. So being able to listen and tolerating and having a patience to listen, not just offering own ideas, and then asking, promoting, or opening or contributing questions that can help people to make sense differently, create options, and connect in a good way. Okay, when we talk about facilitation, I would really like to pinpoint that facilitation can be seen as a sort of helping. And this helping metaphor or concept is I think, quite helpful here to understand the facilitation and the facilitative stance or mindset from my perspective. So one thing which is important here is neutrality. It's said that facilitator should be neutral or not a stakeholder or not have a side in the issue what's discussed. And so having this kind of neutral stance that he or she is really helpful and concentrating on the process, supporting the process, but not taking a stance on what is discussed and not taking a side. And this is also important when we think the trust-based, that there is need to be trusted, that people can trust that the facilitator is a neutral and not having a side. And when we have touchy issues or these strong emotions, it's utmost important that there's neutrality. Of course, now there is a lot of facilitation happening in organization where manager or someone from within the organization is taking a facilitator role, but still this distance should be considered, that the person is not just one member of the team. If not agreed, sometimes it can work that way as well, but it depends on the situation. But neutrality is still one word I like you to remember. So, and when we are in a neutral position or taking a facilitator role, then we should keep the participants responsible for their own questions. So it's not as a facilitator, it's not our responsibility or task to solve the problem, but help the participants solve the problem. And so facilitator guides and enables the collective conversational process from a neutral position, if we define it that way. So supporting or serving the purpose of the session, what we are aiming at. So that's in mind. And then keeping up the boundaries as well. So they are in the process. Then enabling dialogic interaction. So meaning that there is responsiveness and participation, and appropriate involvement, meaning that it's not necessary that everybody is participating in a similar way, but that they are taking with, so involved, that nobody is marginalizing him or herself, or not just those who are extroverts and taking naturally more airtime than others are having all attention. And of course, there are a lot of related concepts like coaching, mentoring, counseling, process consultation that we can see as very facilitative processes as well. So the facilitation and facilitative mindset is connected to these practices as well. So this is now just opening a bit this kind of generic idea from this processual, conversational side of facilitation. But now I guess it's time to talk about your experience. So let's have a little poll first. So now choose one option or one alternative from the list that somehow describes fit the best to your current situation. So concerning your facilitation experience or facilitation role at the moment or activity. So choose one. Okay, still few who has not responded.
Some people say that if they're over the browser, then the poll doesn't appear.
Oh,
C'est la vie.
okay. Yes, there's somebody's not seeing the poll, but okay. 172 has responded. Let's see. What was the? I will end the poll now, and let's see the results. So. There are professional facilitators involved on regular basis and on occasional basis, facilitating workshops, pretty many. And 10% said that limited experience. So I guess there's quite a lot experience already. And now let's continue with our next exercise. So we will form now 4 or 5-person groups. I know that some of you might not like to go to the breakout rooms, but I'd like to invite you to take a risk that you might meet interesting people and have opportunity to learn more. So the idea is now that you introduce yourself shortly, and so have a round where everybody could tell others your basic experience. So you can draw from this poll, and then have a discussion about what makes facilitation successful based on your experience. So what all makes facilitation successful, and write a short summary. You have 15 minutes time. So just I will remind you when there is 5 minutes left that you can start summarizing your experiences and let's see what kind of ideas you have. So just take a photo from the screen to remember the task. And we have something like 170 participants, 5-person groups. So it will be, let's say, 40 groups. How many are we getting there? Okay. And now we will continue in the later phase in the same groups, so that stay in tune. Okay, have a nice discussions. We will continue in 15 minutes. Enjoy. Okay, thanks for coming back, and thanks for summarizing in chat. We will copy all those as a part of the slides later. And but let's start going now through some more points about facilitation. Okay, I just need to ensure I have right. Okay, now I'm taking now this kind of single event session workshop point of view. And that's why, because I think also the large transformations or bigger things are advanced through single good events and encounters. And as facilitators, we tend to plan a certain workshop session event. And now I'm going to take a point of view of such, how to run a workshop or event or a session. It can be a larger one or a smaller one, but anyway, it has its kind of stages, starting, in the middle, working, and in the end, closing. And let's take a let's take a look how this kind of process is built. But first, I'd like to highlight some elements of the facilitation process, which I think are kind of crucial ones. And the first is the context. So all workshops, all events, they're happening in some organizational or societal context. And of course, this context is somehow framing the event, whether it's, as Risto opened up in an opening lecture about this hierarchical, large corporational structures and so on. So that could be one context where we are having a kind of facilitated workshop on something. Or it can be kind of startup where we are having very open network type of structures and relationships, and the context is a bit different. So the context has some cultural features which frame and the event, but it's also that it has the context also in certain kind of situation. It can be in crisis or it can be in kind of innovation mode. And then, of course, there are different, when we talk about workshop, it has some dependencies outside the workshop. And of course, there are some upper management normally who is wanting something about the workshop. So outside workshop, there is some expectations what will happen. So understanding the context is kind of starting point. And then I think quite crucial point is also, why are we having that certain event? What's the purpose and aims of that? If they are not clear, it's hard to produce something useful. So clarifying the purpose and aims is a crucial point. And they are, if we don't clarify them together, then people tend to have a different interpretations, as we were talking about that in the open lecture, that having collective understanding of the purpose. Okay, then we have participants who will be participating to our workshop or event. Who should, who will it be kind of group of people who don't know each other? Will it be a kind of organization, all persons from certain organizational unit who work tightly together? And so this will create different needs. Are they kind of veterans in all kind of workshops, so they know how to work? Or are they kind of people who are not so familiar with participatory collective way of working? Or kind of participate actively? Then what are the proper methods and approach to serve the purpose and aims and fitting the context? So that's one thing that is sometimes can be challenging, again, drawing from this hierarchical structures, how participatory or open methods we can use there, because people are maybe not so used to that. And so what's the stretch and what's not too weird? And again, what's kind of serving the purpose in a proper way? And then facilitator is one element. So what is the style of the facilitator? We all have certain, let's say, favorite ways to facilitate, which are based on our history and our kind of beliefs and interests. But that can cause some biases as well. So personally, I'm really a relationship type of facilitator or a conversation, and I'm very interested to apply this kind of dialogic open space methods or open dialogue methods, which are sometimes serving very, very well. And in some contexts, it's a bit biased. So they should be more structured and maybe more methods and tools, structure should be used. And in other way, it can be that sometimes the methods are too strict and we are following a certain methodological process too tightly, and it will leave some holes. And so the facilitators of course, persona and style is one thing that is effect. And then the outcomes and experiences, which are kind of coming out from the workshop. And do they fit the purpose and aims? But I will talk now a bit more about these concrete outcomes and experiences. Last week, Risto presented this this illustration from, this was from Wenger's book, right? So the Community of Practice book, where he strongly pointed that we need both. So we need this kind of outcomes or reification. So something concrete. When we work together, we have to not just talk, but there should be some kind of outcome, which is concretize or make tangible our achievement, whether it's a new ideas, strategy, some kind of flip chart, canvases filled, and so that's what we produce. We construct new knowledge, new ideas, and I call it here outcome. And then the other part is the participation, which is if we just participate, have a good discussions, and we don't produce anything, that can be kind of not so balanced. Or if we just focus on outcomes and not really care about the participation process, so the experience, what is produced through the participation is the other side. And I will now emphasize a bit more this experiential part. And negotiation here in the middle, I call it meaning making. So in all this kind of facilitated working processes, we talk to each other. So we make collective meanings. And this is now important from my perspective to, or I will emphasize this, that focus on both. So the outcomes, what you produce together, and what is the process, what kind of processes and what kind of experiences is produced through that way of work. So participation produce lived experience. And then this reification kind of thing is the concrete outcomes that we produce, also something tangible that we can show that, okay, this we receive. And later, we continue give meanings to both. So we talk about the experience. Well, that was a very good workshop. The facilitator was great, and we had a very good atmosphere, and we were very productive, and I just felt very connected, people could say. Or about the outcomes that we can present to upper management or clients or somewhere. Okay, these are our new kind of constructs of or product ideas or our strategy drafting, and then we kind of continue. But it tends to be so that we remember this experience better later. So experiences tends to produce more powerful memories, in good and bad. And from my perspective, I would argue that all these experiences build our collective culture, our meanings, and that's why it's very, I think it's crucial to pay attention to what kind of experiences is kind of built through our workshops. And when we think about experiences, what are kind of good? How can we characterize that the workshop experience was good? What happened? Maybe there is some feeling of appreciation and inclusion, that we were able to, I as a participant felt that I was really included, taken seriously, and my views were appreciated. It builds connection and relatedness between people. So if it's a team of people working together, good workshop can really connect and relate, make relationships stronger. We build new shared understanding. whatever we are doing, it's a good experience that we understand each other better, or we construct new ideas. Feeling of accomplishment. So of course, this that we produce, that we have these concrete canvases or shots that, okay, we generated new ideas. I think that's also part of the good experience. Sense of kind of meaningfulness, that this was important, meaningful, not kind of lame or just irrelevant, but meaningful, what we done. Even emancipation or empowerment kind of feeling could be created, that we have a feeling of self-efficacy, that we feel ourselves more competent or capable. Then, of course, this kind of feeling of supportive atmosphere, that when we talk about these difficult emotions, maybe in good facilitation, this kind of moments of confusion or encountering some difficult emotions could be very important experiences. And then one good thing is to measure the experience is that, are people really willing to continue? So was it so good experience that they feel that, okay, this was a good way of working, so we can go on with this. Okay, so this was pretty quick run through of this experience versus outcome side of facilitation. Of course, now we can also say that as I said in the beginning, that there are wide variety of different setups. So we have some workshops which are pretty routinized, so maybe there is no need to be so alerted. But then we have unique situations which are kind of difficult and challenging situations, and there we have to be more alert. But we will talk about that after the break more. Now it's time for our 5-minute break, so don't go far. After 5 minutes we will continue. Thanks for being there.